And very pleased to be joined today on Telile 24/7 by the new Consul-General for New England and the former MP for Cape Breton-Canso for the past 19 years. He is Rodger Cuzner. Rodger, thank you for joining us on Telile 24/7 today.
Great to have the opportunity to chat, Adam.
You applied for this position, I understand. Can you tell me a little bit about why you had the interest in serving in this particular spot?
Well, I guess to sort of even step back from that, having served as the Member of Parliament for Berdora, Cape Breton initially, and then Cape Breton-Canso, and most people realize that it's a pretty vast geographic area to cover. After 19 years, as much as I loved the opportunity to serve the people of the riding, I just found that the travel within the riding was it was tough. There's a lot of windshield time. You get home on a Friday evening, and your Saturday, Sundays were out in the community somewhere. And when you go from the River Ryan Bridge just outside of Dominion, all the way up to the South River Road in Antigonish County, and down into Pomket and Tracadie, and over to Shettycamp. It's a big riding. So that sort of that part of the job became a bit tiring for me. So I knew that if you want to give it 100%, you need somebody that gets up every morning and just wants to get that job done and is looking forward to getting out and getting about. And I think we got a guy there now, Mike Kellaway, who's he's inspired by that and he's working hard at it. But I guess I was just getting too soft. But I knew that I still wanted to work and I wanted to be engaged, and so I went to the private sector. And I've been working the last year with Rubicon Strategies out of Toronto and Ottawa, and they do some lobbying. They do some strategic planning with a number of organizations and with a lot of in the corporate sector. That's been a great experience and a great bunch to work with. But I knew that this opportunity was coming up in Boston. Before I had left Ottawa, really, last October, November, I had met with the person in charge of appointments for the Prime Minister's office, and had indicated my interest. Time went by. COVID hit, and the government's whole focus was on COVID, which it absolutely should have been, and I understood that. So I really hadn't paid a whole lot of attention to it. I got a call in around about September asking if I was still interested, and so I went through there was a process that you went through that was fairly rigorous, 3 levels of interviews, and went through that, and then about a month ago I got a call from the Prime Minister, and he gave me the news that he had made a decision, that he had asked if I'd serve in the post as Consul-General for Canada in Boston, and so I guess we're ready to roll. I on board. I've been going through the onboarding process now the last 3 weeks. My actual start date is this coming Monday, but we won't go to Lynn. My wife Lynn will come with me, and we'll go to Boston the first week in January. So we relocate to Boston and get on with the job there, but I'll be doing it virtually for the first month.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about how you feel about the position to begin with, the concept of Canada having someone there to represent Canada's interests in Boston and in New England. What attracted you to that specific post, and how do you feel about taking it on?
It's probably one of the most important relationships our federal government, we have as Canadians is with our neighbor to the south. We have our ambassador to the United States works out of Washington, but beyond that, there are 9 consular offices, and they have them in Seattle and San Diego, Chicago, San Francisco, and then, of course, Boston. So, there's always been a great relationship between the Atlantic provinces in the New England states. Obviously, New Brunswick and Maine have a very special relationship, but, I know myself, my father-in-law, Cliff Hopkins, ran H. Hopkins Limited, the fish plant for, he was a second-generation operator, and probably 60% of their business was selling into Boston. That relationship has always been there. It's I recall just a couple of years ago, my youngest guy, Brad, was playing hockey with Santa Vex, and so they had a couple of exhibition games down in Boston, playing Boston College and University of Connecticut. So Lynn and I, it was a long weekend in October. We went down to catch a couple of the games, and so returning to the hotel on the Sunday night, and I couldn't find the street. I was getting frustrated. I ran a yellow light. So next thing, the red lights are on behind me. We get pulled over. The officer comes to the window. He said, "I want your license, your registration, your insurance." I said, "Well, my bag is in the back." And I gestured to open the door first. And anybody that's been stopped by the police in the States, these guys don't mess around.
No, I imagine.
He had the hand on the gun and say, no, stay in the car. He said, "Is it a state license?" I said, no, I'm from Canada. "What part of Canada?" I said, "Nova Scotia." "What part of Nova Scotia?" "Cape Breton." "What part of Cape Breton?" I said, "I'm from Glace Bay." He said, "Really?" He said, "My father's from Shetticamp."
Oh, my goodness.
Shetticamp. I said, that's fabulous. I said, "I'm a member of Parliament, and my riding takes in Shetticamp." He said, "My uncle's Bruno. He owns Mr. Chicken in Shetticamp." I said, "Geez, that's So it was great. We chatted, and he knew he would come up and visit family every couple of years or so. So he still knew a lot of people in the Shetticamp area. We had a chat. I'm sure the neighbors there must have thought that they had just busted El Chapo or some major crime figure. We were tied up for about a half hour. Then we got a police escort to the hotel. So, but just to sort of indicate that the roots run deep.
Yes.
From throughout Atlantic Canada, but in particular, we had so many years in Cape Breton when you struggle with work and people trying to find work and start their lives on that. If there wasn't a multitude of opportunity in their own communities, they looked elsewhere. And for years, the New England states, the Boston states were a destination. Another period of time, it was Toronto. I know myself, in the 70s, late 70s, I went to Fort McMurray, Alberta, and I spent 10 years in the West. So those contacts remain. Those contacts. They have a Canadian women's club that's still very active in the Boston area, and I know that the current Consul-General, David Alward, who's been very helpful with the transition, he said that they're very active and they try to meet on occasion with the group from, and a lot of them are Nova Scotians, a lot from that group. So the ties run deep. The Irvings do a great deal of business in the New England area, Cook aquaculture, but our own. I'm sure Premium Seafood has a big, number of big accounts throughout the states, and so the trade will be one of the major issues that'll be dealt with through the office.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about a very special connection that you were a part of not too long ago. Obviously, the tradition of the Christmas tree for Boston sent to Nova Scotia every year to thank the people of Boston for the city's help in terms of rebuilding Halifax after the Halifax explosion in 1917. And you got to be on hand even before officially taking control as a Consul General to New England. You got to be on hand at the Sampson property in Grand Anse as Tony and Heather's tree was cut down and the ceremonies were held to send it off to Boston. What was it like for you knowing that you were taking over this post over the next couple of weeks, but also to be able to see the tree come from right within Cape Breton and right within your former riding?
I thought that was so cool, and complete coincidence. When I got the call from Minister Derek Mumberket, Minister responsible for natural resources, and he had said the tree was coming from Cape Breton this year, and indeed, from the Sampson property. I just thought that was the coolest coincidence, and I very much look forward to getting up and witnessing that. I think it's a great gesture on the part of the province of Nova Scotia to keep that going, to just recognize the support that they gained from the people of Massachusetts and Boston in particular, and to recognize that by it's a great gesture, and the feel that was there that day. You were there, the media that were there, the elected officials, the students from the Strait campus, Waddy Long, and his class. He had a smile on from ear to ear. I thought they were going to have to take him for stitches. He was that excited about the whole event. But it's a small gesture, but an important gesture. And so it was even more special this year. I really wish I would have had the opportunity to be part of it. I know they do a fairly. It's a great networking opportunity when the tree arrives and they do the light up. I think it's December 5th. They're doing the light up in Boston, and but unfortunately, I won't be there until in January. So and with the COVID cases spiking in the Boston area, they're not in a dissimilar situation as what we see in Halifax right now. So they've closed down a lot of public access and public events. So I don't think it'll be as much of an event. But listen, there'll be another one next year, and it'll be even greater reason to get out and celebrate and be with people and pass on to the people of Boston their thanks on behalf of Canadians and Nova Scotians.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that next year, and of course looking forward to seeing the Sampson's tree, even seeing it virtually on television broadcasts this year.
And it's a beautiful tree, just full and healthy, and just I know they were honored to have that tree, and having had an opportunity to speak with them at the event, they were pretty excited, pretty proud.
Yeah, certainly. So you brought up COVID-19, Rodger, both the cases spiking in Boston and in Halifax right now, and we're all kind of looking nervously over our shoulders all across Nova Scotia right now. But I wanted to get your thoughts on how you feel the federal and provincial governments have done in terms of dealing with COVID-19. Your old boss, Justin Trudeau, of course, having to take the lead on this nationally, and we're seeing Stephen McNeil and Dr. Robert Strang, the Chief Medical Officer for Nova Scotia, taking this on locally. So just wanted to get your thoughts on how you feel they've handled the pandemic.
Well, here in Nova Scotia, although we're seeing these spikes now, and I'm proud of the people of Nova Scotia. I'm proud of the people in my own community here. I think by and large people are abiding by the public health regulations. People on the streets, you see them going with masks. Social distancing is something that I think everybody's, for the most part, everybody's respecting. The steps. None of them were fun, but they were necessary. And the shops that. And I don't frequent a whole lot of shopping areas, but when you go in, they're paying particular attention to best practices. So I think that's been a positive. But when the cases start to escalate in Halifax, and you see the Nova Scotia Association of Restaurant Owners, that association coming forward and saying, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks. That's leadership. That's they know that's going to hurt their bottom line, but they see the merit in it. They see the importance of it, and they know that public safety. You're not going to cure the ills of the economy until we have a healthy population. So they came forward with it. I just watching the news last night. There was a poll that was put out there about the new regulations and the shutdowns that have occurred, and 47% said that they were great, and they respected them. 43% said they didn't go far enough. There was only 10% said that they were too harsh. So I think Nova Scotians, by and large, were pretty law-abiding people. If they're most people wear their seat belts because they know the science has proven that it saves lives. I think smoking has gone down in Nova Scotia year over year because they know the effects of smoking. And we play by the rules. If there's a sign that says stay off the grass, most Nova Scotians stay off the grass. But so I think that's why we've had success. And I'm hoping that these measures will be able to curb it. I don't think any particular, you can't plan for something of this magnitude. Nationally, federally, I think that the Prime Minister has been clear and concise. Knowing full well that health is provincial responsibility, and the provinces, that's where they have to take the lead. But the federal government has come in and offered the support through the CERB and what have you. And he said right from the outset, he said, it's one of these issues where it's ready, fire, aim. They wanted to get money into the hands of Canadians, so you couldn't wait for that, to perfect a program. They came up with the CERB. They said, let's get this money out. People need it now. This will, sort of help get through the rough spot. So there are going to be people that may take advantage of it. They'll end up paying a price in the long run. But for the most part, it's gotten us over. The toughest part of it. Everybody was very much aware that there was going to be a second wave, and that's obviously what we're in the midst of now. We're fortunate that there are vaccines on the way, and that's been a great revelation in the last month. But it's Anthony Fauci, to quote Dr. Anthony Fauci, he says, the cavalry's on the way, and in terms of the vaccine, the cavalry's on the way. He said, but that doesn't mean you don't stop shooting. You keep on firing, he said, until the cavalry comes, and then you keep firing then too, because the enemy is the virus, and the virus isn't going to let up. So anyway, I thought that was a great analogy, and it's up to each individual to assume that responsibility and to make sure that they're social distancing, wearing a mask, washing their hands, all those things. But again, when you get a local group like the association, the restaurant association, taking the lead and saying we're going to shut down here for 2 weeks in a hope to get this thing under control, I was really proud of them and proud to be a Nova Scotian.
You mentioned Dr. Anthony Fauci a moment ago, and I certainly don't want to put you in a difficult position as you're taking on your new task, but the timing is interesting in that it is a time of transition in the United States as well. There is a new president coming in and being sworn in January at the inauguration for Joe Biden, and we finally have word earlier this week that the administration of Donald Trump is willing to start transition talks with the Biden team. So just a general thought from you, if you could, answer the question any way you like. How does it feel for you to be taking on this role in New England as there is a page turning in American politics and in American leadership?
I think it's an exciting time. Some guys hunt and some guys fish and some guys play a lot of golf. I guess one of my pastimes is watching American politics, and it's a lot of Canadians have watched it over the last 4 years, and sometimes in bewilderment, and but this continued the current situation with the transition. I'm glad that it's finally underway, and I know that the states that the consular post serves 5 states. It's Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Rhode Island. And there are a number of the governor of Massachusetts is Charlie Baker. He's He's a Republican, very reasonable Republican. I know that I've been following how each of the states has been responding to the transition, and those Republican governors down there have really led the way. He said, "Listen, the pandemic goes far beyond party politics. Let's get on with the transition. Let's get this thing done, and let's try to save some American lives and get this economy back on its feet," sort of thing. So I think for the most part, the states that I'll be working with and the elected officials that I'll be working with, pretty reasonable, pretty responsible, and I think the sooner that the new administration gets an appreciation for where the country stands, and they're able to work with the various state governments to provide services and to help the people, I think that's better for everybody. So I'm glad to see the transitions taking place.
All right. We're heading into the home stretch of this interview, Rodger. I just had one more question for you, and that is one that I think puts a smile on faces every so often when we think about this, is that your tradition as a member of Parliament, as Christmas has come, is to do a rhyming wrap-up of the year in politics, set to Clement Clark Moore's A Visit from St. Nicholas, or The Night Before Christmas. And I just wonder, for future Christmases, for your role as Consul General to New England, might you be taking the rhyming dictionary back out as the tree lights up in Boston?
No, I think that's sort of that part. And I look forward to doing it. I did that for about 12 years. And it was good fun, and all the parties, you take a shot at your own party as well, and your own leader. But I remember guys like Jim Flaherty and even former Prime Minister Harper got a few chuckles out of it, and it was interesting. Last year, I got a call from Anthony Hostfather. He was first elected in 2015, and he phoned me. He said, "Rodger, would you mind if I took a crack at the Christmas poem?" And I said, "Absolutely not, Anthony." I said, by all means. I never ever saw him as a guy, with much of a sense of humor. He's a pretty serious guy, but he said, "I'd really like to." I said, you know that you're Jewish, Anthony?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I think that'll add to it." So anyway, he did it last year. He did a rhyme last year, and he did a great job. So maybe he'll keep the tradition going. But I've retired my monosyllabic rhyme scheme, and we'll go on. I'll look forward to this will be a different Christmas for everybody, Adam, as we know. But it's more important that we have it'll be a Christmas maybe with a few less people around the dinner table, but that we're safe next year and going forward. That's the most important thing. So and in that, I'm. As we wrap up, I'm wishing you and your listening audience and all the best of the Christmas season, and have a safe and healthy New Year.
We appreciate that very much, Rodger, and we wish all the best to you and Lynn and the kids as well, too, and all the very best as you settle into your new post, first virtually and then in the new year, a little more feet on the ground as Consul General for New England. Congratulations, and thank you for giving us some time here today.
Thanks very much, Adam.
No trouble at all. Rodger Cuzner is the incoming Consul General for Canada to New England. We've been speaking to him on the phone from Myra.